Welcome to Lesson 4, Reading Analysis. Simone und Stefan fahren nach Hohenwalde. So fahren, you remember, yeah? To fare means to drive. So where do they drive? Nach Hohenwalde. Well, Hohenwalde is basically just a place. You don't have to know that. It's an existing place. And maybe there's something interesting in there. The name means hoch, which is high. Yeah. But if you want to say I'm high, you don't say ich bin hoch. Yeah. And you also don't want to say ich bin 1,80 Meter hoch. That's a different thing. So hoch means high, and you see somehow the CH turns into GH, and it's pretty much the same word. And Wald, you might know a book called Walden. And I think the title is even related to where he was when he wrote this. I think Thoreau it was, and means forest. I don't know where it comes from, but if you remember Walden, then he was in a forest. So they go to a place called High Forest. And the text also explains this. Das ist ein kleiner, langweiliger Ort in Brandenburg. Branden I will not translate. So, das ist, you remember, das without a capitalized word following means that is a, and Klein, Calvin Klein was actually a pretty small dude. Not dude, but small. Yeah? My Calvin Kleins are always too small. It's no matter what I do. So, and here this ER doesn't mean smaller. It is grammar. It's called adjective declension, which you will learn with the course sooner or later. Don't worry about it. This ER the same. So langweilig is an interesting word. Lang means long. You see the similarity, right? Weile is basically while. So it comes from the word Weile, which means while. So it's a long while place. And long while simply means boring. That means when things take a long while or feel like they take a long while, they are boring. Ort, I wonder whether I have something for you. That's a small, boring in a place called Brandenburg. So, boring what? It's a place. Yeah. Ort. Do I have anything with Ort? Ort. I don't. Yeah. So, Ort is place. I'm not sure how you want to remember that. Burg is a word you might find here and there, because, for example, in Berlin, there's a place called Charlottenburg. So, I come from a place that's called Iburg, the I-Burg, and it means, what is a Burg? What is Fort Knox? What is this called? A Burg is not a castle. It's a smaller version of a castle. Well, they translate it as castle, so maybe it's a castle, but somehow it's not like Schloss Neuschwanstein. Yeah, so it's more of a Festung, a fortress, more of a stronghold. Yeah, because there is no really sexy castle in Brandenburg, I think. So it's a small, long, boring place in Brandenburg, which is around Berlin. So, well, let's see. Dort hat der Bundeskanzler eine kleine Datscha mit einem großen Garten. So, verb is here. At the end is Garten, so it's the only verb. So someone has something. And the person that has something is the chancellor. And what does he have? He has eine kleine Datscha. Eine, you know by now, means a. Klein, you've just learned, Calvin Klein. My Calvin Kleins are always too small. So a small Datscha. Datscha is a Russian word, and it's basically for a weekend house. A weekend house. Yeah? So, the chancellor has a small weekend house in that place. Mit einem Garten, you see garden, so it's a garden. There's a garden there. Yeah? Groß, by the way, this is not a gross garden, but maybe you use that to remember that groß, with a long O, big gardens are gross, yeah? Or gross, I think you pronounce it. So big gardens are gross. Dort, let's leave it where it is. Actually, dort contains the word Ort, which we just had, which means place, but dort means there. So somehow, and there contains here, yeah? So this is maybe a little helper. So he has a dacha with big garden. He has a little typo which I have to fix. This needs to be er. And again you have dort, which means there, and you see kann. Kann also can be found on its own, but in 99% of the cases you will find it in company of another verb, and that verb is here. Remember, und equals a full stop. Yeah, so the verb is found in front of und. So there, kann is very obvious, hopefully. Can, you see the similarity. Er, the male er, so he. Am Wochenende, we can skip this for now. Entspannen. Spannen is an interesting word. It's not related to span, but spannen, well, somehow maybe. Spannen, yeah. If you put Spannung on something, there's a lot of tension. It's related to tension, and if you use and in front of something, you detense something, which means relax. Yeah, so there can he relax. And Wochenende, well, you learn Woche from Mittwoch, week of middle of the week, and the end of the week, Wochenende. It's always Wochenende. And learn it as a fixed expression, am Wochenende, am Wochenende. The sich belongs to entspannen, just that you notice. So he can relax there, and he can tank, craft. Kraft, you might remember from Kraftwerk, power plant, so it is a power or a force in physics. So it might also be strength. So he can tank strength. What does tanken mean? In German, der Tank is not the Panzer, yeah? The tank, that's what you know, but der Tank is the gasoline container, which might also be the tank. Let's see. Yeah, well, it's the same. So it's the tank of a car. Yeah, of a car. So be careful with this false friend. Germans say Panzer if they mean the war machine. So and tanken means to fuel up. Yeah, that's the meaning. Yeah, to put something into the tank, so into your container. Yeah, this is a nice image. Some Germans are like tanks that need to be filled or refilled. Maybe it's an easy way to remember this. Die beiden Detektive rasen in Simones Trabi durch eine wunderschöne Landschaft. Let's take a look at the verb. Biden, you remember Joe Biden, is not a verb, it means both. So both detectives. Yeah? This is the verb rasen. And rasen in English is related to race. So they're racing. You see, it's basically the same word. We just use a different letter for the S sound. So they are racing in Simones. Yeah, in English you would do this, in German you wouldn't. Trabi. Trabi, it's an interesting thing. Trabant. It actually has a meaning which I forgot. Trabant is kind of, the moon is a trabant of the earth, as far as I know. How would you translate? I would say the same in English. Yeah, so kind of companion. And Trabi is the diminutive of this, making it cute. Yeah, if you wanted to say cute little Michael, yeah, it turns into Michi. Yeah, Thomas turns into Tommy, or Tommy, however you want to write it. So this is what the I does at the end. Doesn't work with all the names though. So they are racing in this little really mind-blowing car. And you see A, Wunder, which means wonder, and schön is somehow related to Schien, which is related to shine, and therefore beautiful. Or simply marvelous. If it's wunderschön, it's marvelous, because marvel somehow has something to do with wonders. Yeah? And Landschaft, well, Land, well, Deutschland is the country, and Schaft is the country. Yeah, it's not, it's a paysage in French. How would you say that? The scenery. Yeah? Landscape, thank you. That's even better. Landscape, because not that Schaft means scape, but it looks somehow like scape. So through a marvelous landscape.